Hi there, Smart Driver, talking to you about road rage. How can you keep yourself safe? How can you prevent being involved in incidents of violence on the roadway? Today we're going to give you tips and strategies to keep yourself safe and not be involved in road rage. And my face on the one side here, this is jujitsu face, okay? It's just me. It just happens to me. Somebody got me in an arm triangle yesterday, which means they're trying to choke me. And the gis, the uniforms that we wear in jiu-jitsu, are perforated and they're rough and it causes my face to mark. So there's nothing wrong with me. It doesn't hurt. It marks my face. Road rage. We're talking about road rage, beating on the steering wheel, getting upset, people cutting you off, getting into fights with cyclists and motorcycle riders. And there have been lots of videos on social media where the cyclist rides up at the traffic light, catches up with the vehicle, and then rips the mirror off the side of the car because they're just irate and having a go at the person in the vehicle because they did something where they cut them off or those types of things. Road rage incidents can be minor or they can be major. Minor incidents are just yelling, threatening, and then getting back in your vehicle and driving off after you've had a go at the other person. Major road rage incidents are using the vehicle as a weapon, using weapons, fisticuffs, anything that would be considered assault or manslaughter if a death occurs or injury or fatality, those types of things. So know that in terms of road rage incidents, sometimes these can escalate and get out of hand. Couple of things to have a look at. Have a look at the podcast. You can get the link for that down in the description there as well. Why is your insurance so high? You can figure out ways to reduce the cost of your insurance with that video. Have a look at that as well. The number one reason that your insurance is so costly is because of collision insurance. If you have a car loan to purchase your vehicle, you're going to have collision insurance, which protects the finance company that if you get into a crash, they're going to get their vehicle back and still have their investment in place. Collision insurance repairs your vehicle if you drive into a telephone pole, for example. Collision insurance, if your insurance is, say, $150 a month, and then you put collision insurance on your vehicle, your insurance is now $300 a month. So if you can figure out a way that you don't have to have collision insurance on your vehicle, that's going to make it less expensive. So have a look at that video. Social driving. This is the number one reason for aggression and drivers getting into fisticuffs on the roadway. Hurry up and go. Me first, right? Everybody is tuned into the radio station WIIFM. What's in it for me? How do I get to my destination as quickly as possible? And last week we talked about get there-itis. People want to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. And other traffic, other road users, and people on e-bicycles especially are in my way. The peer pressure to hurry up and get going is very real in the realm of social driving when you are interacting with other people in cars and on bicycles and motorcycles and trucks pulling caravans and semi-trucks and transit buses and coaches and the entire mix of traffic in which we deal with every day on the roadway. Part of learning how to drive is focusing on what you are doing when you are behind the wheel. And for new drivers with not a great deal of experience, this can be one of the most challenging aspects of learning how to drive and driving on your own after you get your driver's license. Because as Marion will attest, driving in a big city, people honk at you if they think that you are not going when you should be going, or they think for the least little bit of reason that you are in their way. And they will communicate that you are in their way by tailgating you and being 3 inches off the back of your bumper. And then what happens is you retaliate by slowing down to tell them that they're being too close, and then they start to honk their horn and flash their lights, and the whole thing begins to ramp up into an act of aggression and road rage. Driving is a social activity. You are interacting with other people on the roadway according to a set of laws and according to a set of rules and culture in which you are driving. And know as well, yes, you can obey all the traffic laws on the roadway. Traffic laws no more prevent crashes than criminal law prevents crime. So obeying all the traffic laws is not going to keep you safe and make you a smarter, safer driver on the roadways. And as Marion just said, the pressure is really strong to hurry up and get going, especially in those bigger cities. Vancouver, British Columbia, Atlanta, Georgia, Los Angeles, California. Talk to some of the people in Los Angeles, California driving on the interstates and the congestion and the aggression of other people getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible. What you're dealing with on the roadways, these are the mix of traffic. These are the things that drive people crazy in terms of driving. And these are the things, the 6 factors of driving: the driver, the vehicle, traffic, the road, light, and weather. These 6 factors change in every moment that you are driving on a roadway. And this is what confounds self-driving cars. These are the 6 factors that mix in different combinations that will not allow computers to drive cars, because they cannot figure out these 6 different factors. And if you think that computers, as strong as they are and can play chess and beat some of the grandmasters in the world, they cannot figure this out in terms of driving. And there was a video a couple of weeks ago, and I'll find it again, where they were videoing their self-driving car, and they said, oh, I've driven tens of thousands of miles in my self-driving car in and around, I believe it was DC, and everything was great, nothing has ever happened. And then one day we go around the corner and all of a sudden we're driving on the wrong side of the road. And I predicted that we wouldn't have self-driving cars until the next century. And, of course, in 2017, Elon Musk was saying, oh, by 2022, everybody will have a self-driving car. Well, that came and went. Never happened, right? And some years ago, when I started the YouTube channel, I was approached by a company that was going to retrofit cars back to 2013 to make them all self-driving cars. I talked to the person, had a consult, and I went away and I considered it for a couple of days, and I thought to myself, you're never going to do this. And the reason that it was never going to happen is because you can take any section of roadway and capture, say, 500 feet of roadway in any particular amount of time. So say that it's 10:01 in the morning. Every minute after 10:01 in the morning, that section of roadway, freeze frame that section of roadway. Every section of roadway will have a different set of drivers and a different combination of vehicles every second throughout the day. And this was the reason that I turned down the company to work for them to retrofit cars back to make them self-driving cars, because I knew that it was never ever going to be able to happen, because you cannot replicate that mix of traffic that is always changing. And this is the part that I talk about in terms of creating defensive driving habits. Shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking, ABS, always be scanning, because traffic is always changing. The drivers are always changing. Driving is dynamic, and this is why self-driving cars are not yet a reality and will not be a reality for some time, because computers cannot deal with this dynamism. Dynamism, is that the right word? They cannot deal with this fluidity of traffic. Angry drivers. Did a poll on the YouTube community tab here on Smart Drive Test, asking questions about what really irked drivers. And the number one thing that really irks drivers is tailgating. Tailgating, tailgating, tailgating. And if you've been around for some time, as Marion has and other smart drivers, you need to understand that space management, that 2 to 3 second following distance in front, stopping back in traffic, 1 vehicle length. If you can do that and put those driving habits in place, this will significantly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash and being involved in a road rage incident. Because as you can see, most drivers, 90% of drivers, are upset by other drivers who tailgate them. This is the number one signpost of aggressive driving. Minor incidents of road rage and aggression: horn honking, hand gestures, telling somebody that they are number one. The old big finger, number one, you over there are number one. Flashing your lights, yelling, and idle threats, and saying something bad about the other person's mother. Okay, these are minor incidents of road rage. Major incidents of road rage: using your vehicle as a weapon, blocking other vehicles on the roadway. Okay, following you, the zipper merge. My pet peeve of traffic safety. The zipper merge will work. We will do the zipper merge. Everybody do the zipper merge. Do the zipper merge. Everybody now. It just boggles my mind that smart people who are involved in traffic safety can tell you that the zipper merge will work. The zipper merge is the most ill-conceived concept in traffic safety ever. And it prioritizes traffic flow over safety. And why on any planet would you box yourself in at the end of a merge and right at the bottleneck try to get over into the other lane? Zipper merging. Either everybody does it or nobody does it. It only takes one person for it not to work out. And the other piece about it is they talk about zipper merging, and they've done studies to show, and I need to write more about this and get the sources together, but whatnot, that as soon as you put trucks and large vehicles into play at a bottleneck and you start doing the zipper merge, it doesn't work anymore. It completely falls apart, which I can understand. Because you got a big semi-truck here and there's 4 cars beside the semi-truck, and the semi-truck lets 1 car, then 3 cars got to wait. You know the saying, I'm nice. I'm let 1 car in nice, and that's it. I'm not letting the other car in. So there's still 3 cars waiting. Now the whole thing fell apart. So as soon as you have a mix of traffic, it doesn't work anymore. So you have motorcycles and semi-trucks and transit buses and cars pulling trailers. It doesn't work. The zipper merge is ill-conceived, and it leads to road rage. And there have been reports, and I can give you sources for these, where people have failed to zipper merge, and the person that felt that they were done wrong followed the other person for 20 miles and followed them home. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit about what happens if somebody follows you home. Don't go home, okay, if somebody follows you in a road rage incident. So following you, brake checking you at high speeds. Brake checking is when you're driving down the interstate and the vehicle, the lead vehicle, does something wrong to the person behind them, and then the person races past them, cuts in front of them, and then slams on the brakes. It is incredibly dangerous, okay? Get away from that person if they are brake checking you. It is so dangerous. All you have to do is run into the back of them, and the next thing you know, you're into a major collision. Don't engage in road rage. And then physical violence. Both people force, one vehicle forces the other vehicle off the roadway. They get out of the vehicle, they engage in a physical fight, or one person pulls a weapon and they go at it and somebody ends up in the hospital, or worse, it's a fatal injury and somebody gets killed. What can you do about road rage incidents? What can you do about aggression on the roadway? Most people can only stay angry for a couple of minutes. Let me repeat that. Most people can only stay angry for a couple of minutes. If there is no feedback, there is no input into their anger, they're going to leave you alone. And I've had this happen a couple of times. I had a road rage incident when my life went dark and I was going through my divorce and I had to pick my kids up, and I was working an hour and a half away, and I raced back from Kamloops, and I'm driving down the highway and I'm trying to get here, and it's raining and it's Halloween. I knew it was Halloween because I was picking my kids up to take them out for Halloween, and I knew I was late. Anyway, I come into the parking lot and I kind of went around this U-turn thing, and there was a van sitting right in the middle of the parking lot. And of course, I'm already late, I'm already angry, I'm upset, I'm in survival mode because my life has gone sideways. And I hit the horn a couple of times aggressively, and the person got out of the van, walked over to my car, they opened the door, and they reached in and they put their hand on my wrist like this. It would have been the other way, obviously, because they're out there. They're like this. And I just looked up at the person and I just said, you need to take your hand off me right now. Because I think it threw the person because I was calm and there wasn't any aggression in my voice. And the person just let go of my wrist, slammed the door. They said something bad about my mother and they walked back to the van. That's the one time that I've had a road rage incident where it could have actually resulted in violence. The other time was in Australia, and I was on my bicycle and I was going through this intersection, and it got really narrow on the other side, and there was a tram in the middle of the road, and there wasn't enough room for a car between my bicycle and the tram. And the guy went through between me and the tram, and he was so close to me that I went like this and I hit the side of his car with my fist. I saw him stop. He screams over to the side of the road and stopped. So I stopped, got off my bicycle, and I pulled it up on the curb, and I set it next to on a utility pole. I leaned it there, and then I'm standing on the curb waiting. And he comes back and he starts beaking off at me, and he's like, you are, and he's yelling at me, and I didn't really say anything. I was just looking at him. I go, I should pop you. And I was, of course, I had a black belt in karate at the time. And I was like, I'm standing on the curb. I'm 6 inches, 4 inches. What's a curb? 5 inches. I was 5 inches taller than him and on an elevated position. It's kind of like, you know, in Star Wars with the final fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. Anakin Skywalker, that was his name. And I'm like, dude, first of all, if you're going to pop me, you need to back up to get a little bit of distance here so you can get some really good force into it. This is all what's kind of going on in my head. But I just stood there and I didn't say anything to him. I was like, yeah, whatever. And he come up, had his yell at me, and then he went and got back in his car and drove off. So this is what I'm talking about in terms of people getting angry. They can only do that for so long. They can only stay angry for a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and then they're going to calm down and they're going to go off and they're going to do something else. Do not get your phone out. Do not call the police. Do not take pictures of them. Do not unlock the doors. Do not roll down the windows. Do not engage with the person. Do not drive home if they are following you. If you're involved in a road rage incident, do not drive home. Do not drive to a police station. Drive to someplace public where there are lots of people. If you are living in a large metropolitan city, Los Angeles, and there's a police station, and there's lots of police cars around and those types of things and activity and whatnot, then yes, drive to a police station. But if you're in a little rural community somewhere, like where my mom lives in rural southwestern Ontario, there's nobody at the police station. They're out patrolling. There's nobody there. So it's not safe to drive to a police station. Drive to someplace where there's lots of people and activity and whatnot to keep yourself safe. Let them have their crash somewhere else. The person that cut you off may not even know that they cut you off and you're getting all upset about the fact that the person cut you off. Safety for all truck driver. Safety for driver. And I had somebody, an acquaintance of mine that I hung around with a few years ago, and he was trying to explain to me this one situation where somebody did something wrong, and then he followed them into a parking lot and he blocked them in the parking lot, and then he started having a go at them explaining what they did wrong. And he was explaining this to me, and he was trying to justify why he felt that he was being attacked by other people who came up and protected the other person in the parking lot. And I was like, woo, the whole thing was like Twilight Zone to me. I was like, dude, you are like off. So there are those safety for all people out there who think that you did something wrong and you need to have it explained to you. Paying attention to your own driving. Focus on what you're doing, not what other people are doing on the roadway. Yes, we like to police other drivers and we like to give them information about what they're doing wrong and whatnot, but for the most part, focus on what you're doing when you're driving. I learned a long time ago as a driving instructor, and I learned this the hard way, that I only comment on people's driving when I am being paid. If I'm not being paid, I sit in the passenger seat and I am very quiet. I don't say anything about people's driving. And girlfriends love to ask me this question, especially new girlfriends, because they know I'm a driving instructor. Oh, how's my driving? Girlfriends asking me how their driving is comparable to the question of, does my ass look fat in these pants? That's the same question. And I don't get baited by that question, okay? I mumble something and I carry on with my life. You don't know who's in the other vehicle. When I was doing my graduate degree, there was a book, and I cannot find this book for the life of me, Criminal on the Road. And they were interviewing this criminal who had been convicted of manslaughter and other charges of driving cars. And he said that if somebody cut him off when he was driving, he would chase them down, force them off the road, he would pull them out of the car, and he would beat the crap out of them. This is what I'm saying to you in terms about engaging with other people in the vehicle. You don't know who the other person is in the vehicle, so do not go there. Protect yourself, keep yourself safe, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Yes, so it's toasty on the East Coast, and you definitely want to have your vehicle in and have it checked out to make sure that the air conditioning is working, getting your system recharged and whatnot. This is definitely not the time of year that you want to be driving around without air conditioning working, which reminds me, I need to order a part for the buggy to get the air conditioning working on it as well before we get into the hot weather, because I'm going to be spending most of the summer here as opposed to elsewhere. That's what's going on. Make sure that your vehicle the coolant is topped up. Make sure that the AC, if it's not working and you need to get it recharged, take it into a technician and get them to look at it. Make sure that you have plenty of water, you're well hydrated when you're driving, because as we know, excess heat, the heat dome, so to speak, can cause incidents of road rage as well when people are sitting in hot cars, not having the air conditioning working and those types of things. So all this can contribute to road rage. And we've all seen incidents of road rage on social media, videos, and incidents where people get out of their vehicle and they have a go at each other, whether it's fisticuffs or somebody draws a weapon out, they have a baseball bat or a tire iron in their vehicle, or worse yet, a knife or a gun in their vehicle. Mary, did you see that Alberta got snow over the weekend? Marion, I did not see that Alberta got snow over the weekend. Interesting. Today we're talking about road rage. We're talking about keeping yourself safe. A lot of the defensive driving techniques that we talk about here on the channel in terms of space management, keeping space in front, being predictable, keeping up with traffic flow. These driving habits will keep you safe and reduce the incidence of road rage because you are being more predictable on the roadway. In terms of social driving, if you participate in social driving and you are following too close, you're not giving other people space on the roadway, you're being unpredictable, you're not stopping completely at stop sign intersections, you're refusing to give up the right of way, you're forcing your way through traffic, you're being aggressive. These are the actions and characteristics that lead to incidents of road rage. Now, saying that, there also seems to be aggression and road rage between particular road user groups, and particularly between motorists and cyclists. And there's a huge war going on right now in the whole kind of woke movement with having bicycles and bicycle lanes within cities, and we are spending hundreds of millions of dollars reshaping our cities and usurping road space and putting in bicycle lanes. All these people who previously did not ride bicycles are now riding bicycles because now we have electric bicycles and they don't have to work as hard to ride their bicycle. So we have a lot of people riding bicycles, and this is simply ramping up the conflict between motorists and bicycle riders. And I can tell you for a fact that I have had many, many more road rage incidents riding my bicycle than I ever did or ever have riding a car, or driving a car rather. Know that when you're driving, if you are out and you are going out and you're going to ride a bicycle, you're riding into conflict. And as well, on a bicycle, you are more likely to be hit or injured in a crash. It's the same thing as riding a motorcycle. Motorcycle riders are 35 times more likely to be killed in a crash than people driving cars. And they're also probably more likely to be involved in road rage incidents. Now, we're not talking about the majority of motorcycle riders. I would argue that most motorcycle riders would also argue that most of them are being defensive. They're out there, they're enjoying the fact that they're riding a bicycle, and they're not being aggressive. There is a small cadre of motorcycle riders who are engaging in aggressive riding. There's no doubt about it. I talked to you a couple of weeks ago in the live stream about gang of motorcycle riders when I was coming out of JFK Airport, and late at night, 11 o'clock at night, and this gang of motorcycle riders went by me at like 100 miles an hour on the interstate coming out of JFK. It was just incredible. 20 or 30 motorcycles riding up the interstate at 100 miles an hour. So there is that segment of the population, but again, we have the same segment of the population in terms of car drivers, which are pickup truck drivers and sports car drivers who are being aggressive and driving hard through traffic and those types of things and creating aggravation, which could potentially lead to road rage. Marion, those e-bikes are insane. You never hear them coming behind you, and they are super fast, so you don't always see them straight away. It's dangerous. Marion, I don't disagree with you in terms of them being dangerous, and not to mention they're nimble. They go anywhere on the sidewalks and in alleyways and over steps and those types of things. And people are doing whatever they can to weave in and out of traffic, pedestrians on bike paths and those types of things. And it's the same thing. Bike paths are so piecemeal that it's hard to kind of keep track of them. It's not like driving in traffic where there's traffic and you're mapping and tracking traffic. When you're on a bike path or you're on a sidewalk, which is a shared sidewalk, you're not sure whether you're sharing it with cyclists or whatnot. And then The other piece that doesn't work with bicycles, because I've had a bell on my bicycle forever, and you can ride up behind pedestrians and be dinging your bell until the proverbial cows come home, they're not going to move. What you need to do, and what you need to train cyclists to do, is ride up behind them and say, on your left. People instinctively, if you're riding on a shared bike path and there are pedestrians walking on the bike path and they're on the right side of the thing and you pass on their left and you say on their left, people will instinctually move to the right. Because I've had it done. I've had people on bicycles ride up behind me, say on your left, and I instinctually move to the right. It is much, much safer. And we need to teach cyclists to do this, to say to pedestrians where they're going, on your left. It's much safer, because I've had people on bicycles right up behind me on a bell and I'm like, what's going on? It doesn't give you any sense of direction. It's the same challenge with emergency vehicles, that they've done all kinds of studies with people driving cars and trying to figure out the direction from which emergency vehicles are coming. It causes confusion with the blaring sirens and whatnot. And it's the same thing with bells on bicycles. It doesn't work. It doesn't alert pedestrians and keep them safe, because you don't know from which direction the bicycle is coming. And now we've created another problem with making traffic even more heterogeneous. There's your big word. We're making more traffic, different things on roadways, which can now be unpredictable. Mary and I have heard them saying that to me when I have walked on shared pathways. Yes, and when I have found when I'm riding a bicycle on a shared pathway and I come up behind pedestrians and I yell out, on your left, they instinctually move to the right, which makes it much safer for everybody on the shared path. But we need to teach cyclists to do that. A few weeks ago, I was on the shared path down at the school when I was walking down to pick the kids up, and same thing. Some dad on a big e-bike with his 4 kids on the back of the e-bike, and he's ding, ding, ding. And you know, I was kind of not really paying attention to what was going on. All of a sudden I'm like, where the heck did you come from? And he's like crowding me over on the other side, right? So this is what was happening. Yes, 85, stay hydrated, stay safe, and same for everyone else, all the smart drivers. Stay safe, stay hydrated, keep yourself safe this summer. Make sure that your air conditioning is working. If you're going on any trips, make sure you do a pre-trip inspection. Anything that needs to be fixed, oil changes, you need your tires rotated, whatnot. Get all that done before you take off and before you drive long distances, so that everything is working as well. Make sure your windshield wipers are in good condition. Make sure that, you know, if you're going to put Rain-X in, make sure that you put the summer washer fluid in to keep the bugs off your windshield and keep it clear so you have good visibility while you're driving. Lots of snacks, keep hydrated, plan your stops, know the mile markers, keep yourself safe when you're driving. Epic, safe trips, Rick. Alternatively, carry enough gear and pay attention. Yes, you are absolutely right. 85, my summer is going really well, my friend. Really well. Thank you for asking. And I wish you all the best as well. All the smart drivers, stay safe, keep the rubber side down, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.